The massive council chamber on Nexus Prime hummed with the familiar sounds of 12 different alien species conducting their weekly business. High Counselor Ziktar of the Vorthic Empire clicked his mandibles as he reviewed trade reports, his insectoid eyes scanning holographic displays with mechanical precision. Beside him, Ambassador Quillen of the Hegemony pulsed with soft blue light patterns that conveyed mild boredom to anyone who could read crystalline communication. WarPrime Goal of the Khazari lounged in his reinforced chair, his reptilian bulk making the furniture creak under his weight. The humans sat quietly in their designated section, a small delegation that still seemed oddly out of place after 50 years of council membership. Captain Jake Morrison wore his crisp blue uniform with the insignia of the human fleet carrier USS Liberty, while Admiral Lisa Carter sat beside him with the calm bearing of someone accustomed to command. Dr. Ben Taylor, the chief human ambassador, took notes on his tablet, while Commander Amy Brooks observed the proceedings with the sharp eyes of an intelligence officer. The routine discussion of shipping lanes and resource allocation was interrupted when a Vorthic courier burst through the chamber doors. Zektar S. Antennae twitched with annoyance at the breach of protocol, but his expression changed rapidly as the courier's panicked clicks reached his auditory sensors. The insectoid leader stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "Council members," Zektar announced, his translator converting his clicks into standard galactic. "We have received urgent intelligence from our deep space monitoring stations. The Devourer fleet has been detected entering the outer rim of Council space." A wave of shock rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Quillen's light patterns shifted to rapid pulses of amber and red, the crystalline equivalent of alarm. WarPrime Goal straightened in his chair, his yellow eyes narrowing. Smaller species representatives began chattering in their native languages, their translators struggling to keep up with the overlapping conversations. Dr. Taylor leaned forward slightly, his pen poised over his tablet. "Excuse me, Counselor Zektar, but could you provide more details about this Devourer fleet? We humans are still relatively new to this region of space." Quillen's light patterns dimmed to a somber purple as she responded. "Dr. Taylor, the Devourers are a nomadic species that has plagued our galaxy for over 1,000 years. They consume entire worlds, stripping them of all resources and life before moving on to the next system. 3 member species of this council have been completely destroyed by their advance over the centuries." WarPrime Goal nodded grimly. "The Devourers know only hunger and destruction. They cannot be reasoned with, cannot be bargained with. When they appear, civilized species evacuate or die. There is no third option." Captain Morrison straightened in his chair. "What are their fleet capabilities and current trajectory?" Zektar's mandibles clicked in what might have been confusion. "Captain Morrison, such tactical information is irrelevant. The standard response to Devourer incursion is immediate evacuation of threatened worlds and defensive positioning around core systems. We estimate losing 3 to 5 outer ring colonies before they move on to less defended territory." Admiral Carter spoke for the first time, her voice carrying the authority of decades in military command. "Counselor, with respect, Captain Morrison asked for specific information about enemy capabilities and position. We need fleet composition, ship classifications, estimated numbers, and projected movement patterns." The alien delegates exchanged glances that conveyed confusion across species barriers. Ambassador Quillen's light patterns shifted to questioning yellow hues. "Admiral Carter, I do not understand the purpose of such intelligence gathering. The Devourers are a force of nature, like a stellar storm or gravitational anomaly. One prepares, defenses, and accepts losses." Commander Brooks leaned forward, her intelligence training evident in her precise questions. "How do they typically engage in combat? What weapon systems do they employ? What are their tactical doctrines? WarPrime Goal's reptilian features twisted into something resembling bewilderment. Commander, the Devourers attack in overwhelming numbers with crude but effective weapons. A ram ships use directed energy beams and deploy boarding parties. Their tactic is simple. They throw numbers at a target until it falls. Dr. Taylor looked up from his notes. And the Standard Council. Response is evacuation and defensive positioning. Correct, Zektar confirmed. We establish defensive perimeters around crucial systems and accept the loss of outlying territories. The Devourers eventually exhaust local resources and move on. It is the way such threats have always been handled. Admiral Carter stood slowly, her movement drawing the attention of every being in the chamber. Council members, I hereby formally notify you that humanity will not be following standard evacuation protocols. We will be mobilizing our full military capabilities to engage and destroy the Devourer threat. The silence that followed was profound. Even the ambient systems seemed to quiet, as if the station itself was processing this unprecedented statement. Quillen's light patterns flickered erratically, cycling through colors that had no direct translation, but clearly indicated shock. WarPrime. Gull was the first to find his voice. Admiral, I believe your translator may be malfunctioning. You spoke as if humanity intends to attack the Devourers directly. The translation is correct, Captain Morrison confirmed. We will be deploying our battle fleets to engage the enemy in their current position and pursue them back to their point of origin, if necessary. Zektar's antennae waved frantically. This is unprecedented. No species has ever attempted direct assault against a Devourer fleet. The casualties would be catastrophic. Dr. Taylor closed his tablet and stood. Counselor, humanity has different tactical doctrines than those traditionally employed by Council species. We do not view the Devourers as a natural disaster to be endured. We view them as an enemy to be defeated. But the cost, Quillen pulsed in pale, worried hues. Your species could face extinction attempting such a campaign. Admiral Carter's expression remained calm. The cost of inaction is the continued threat to all Council species. Humanity has decided that this threat must be eliminated permanently. Commander Brooks addressed the military representative. WarPrime Goal, we would appreciate any tactical intelligence your forces have gathered about Devourer combat capabilities. The massive reptilian warrior shook his head slowly. Commander Brooks, no Khazari force has ever engaged the Devourers in direct combat. Our warrior traditions value honor and personal skill in battle. The Devourers fight without honor, using only numbers and brutality. We have always avoided direct confrontation. Then we will gather our own intelligence. Morrison stated matter-of-factly. The human delegation began to rise from their seats. Dr. Taylor addressed the Council one final time. We thank you for the intelligence briefing. Humanity will coordinate our response with interested Council members, but we will proceed with or without additional support. As the humans filed out of the chamber, their measured pace contrasting sharply with the agitated movements of the alien delegates, Quillen's light patterns settled into deep purple contemplation. She turned to Zektar, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's lights into prismatic displays. High Counselor, I have studied human behavior patterns for decades. They speak of war as other species speak of weather patterns or trade negotiations. WarPrime Goal shifted uncomfortably in his reinforced chair. I have observed their military exercises during joint training operations. Their soldiers practice scenarios that assume casualty rates no Khazari warrior would accept. Zektar's logical mind processed the implications. They show no fear response to overwhelming odds. Their tactical discussions focus on resource allocation and strategic objectives rather than survival probability. Most disturbing, Quillen pulsed in worried amber. They appear to have prepared for this type of conflict. Did you notice how quickly? They requested specific intelligence. They already have operational frameworks for total warfare. The 3 senior council members sat in contemplative silence as other delegates filed out of the chamber. Through the massive viewing ports, they could see human courier ships departing Nexus Prime at high speed, carrying orders that would reshape the balance of power in their Galaxy. WarPrime goal spoke quietly, his voice carrying an emotion rarely heard from the proud warrior species. In all my years of combat, I have never encountered anything that truly frightened me. But watching those humans discuss war as if they have forgotten how to fear. He paused, his yellow eyes reflecting an ancient worry. I believe we may have allied ourselves with something far more dangerous than the Devourers themselves. High Counselor Zektar stood before the massive observation screens in his command center on WarHFY, his compound eyes tracking dozens of data streams simultaneously. The logical mind that had guided his species through centuries of careful, diplomatic balance now struggled to process what he was witnessing. Across human space, and transformation was occurring that defied every principle of civilized warfare he understood. The first reports had seemed like translation errors. Human civilian manufacturing centers were converting to military production at rates that violated basic economic principles. Zektar watched real-time sensor data as asteroid mining operations that normally took decades to establish were being constructed in mere weeks. Entire human colonies were redirecting their populations from agricultural and commercial work to weapons manufacturing. His aide, a younger Vorthik named Kilter, approached with fresh intelligence reports. High Counselor, our deep space monitors have detected massive energy signatures from the human system of Sol. They appear to be constructing something of unprecedented scale. Zektar's antennae twitched as he processed the data. The humans were building fusion reactors at a rate that suggested they were treating energy like a consumable resource rather than a carefully managed strategic asset. His logical calculations indicated they were preparing for sustained military operations that would consume more resources than most species used in decades of normal operation. Send additional monitoring probes, Zektar ordered. I must understand how they can sustain such rapid mobilization without economic collapse. Meanwhile, on the crystalline world of Lumina, Ambassador Quillen floated within her analysis chamber, her translucent form pulsing with concerned amber light. The energy readings from human space were beyond anything her people had ever recorded. As masters of energy manipulation, the hegemony understood power generation better than any other council species, which made the human achievements even more frightening. Her science advisor, a younger crystal named Shin Quilm, projected holographic displays showing human industrial output. Ambassador, our calculations suggest the humans have increased their energy production by 800% in just 30 days. Such rapid expansion should have caused complete infrastructure failure. Quillen's light patterns shifted to deep blue contemplation. Show me their population distribution patterns. The display changed to show human worlds, where other species would show signs of social upheaval and resource shortages during such massive mobilization. Human colonies displayed something unprecedented. Civilian populations were working extended shifts voluntarily, accepting rationing without complaint, and maintaining production quotas that exceeded wartime emergency levels established by other species. They embrace economic disruption as if it were a celebration, Quillen observed, her patterns flickering with confusion. Our psychological models cannot explain this behavior. On the warrior world of Kazakh, WarPrime Goal paced through his personal training arena, his massive frame moving with agitation that his subordinates had rarely witnessed. The proud leader of the galaxy's most renowned warrior species found himself confronting intelligence reports that challenged everything he believed about combat and military strength. General Thokol, his most trusted advisor, presented combat analysis data gathered from human training exercises. WarPrime, our observers report that human military exercises routinely assume casualty rates of 30% or higher. Their soldiers practice scenarios where entire units are expected to fight to complete destruction to achieve strategic objectives. Gol's yellow eyes narrowed as he reviewed footage of human military drills. The soldiers moved with mechanical precision, showing no emotional response to simulated death or injury. Most disturbing to his warrior sensibilities, they seemed to view their own lives as tactical resources to be expended for strategic gain. This cannot be correct, Gol rumbled. No species fights with such disregard for individual survival. Even in our most brutal conflicts, Khazari warriors fight for personal honor and glory. These humans fight as if they have already accepted death. There is more, WarPrime, Thokol continued. Their training scenarios include something they call acceptable losses. They practice coordination between units, where some forces are deliberately sacrificed to achieve mission objectives. Gol stopped pacing, his reptilian features displaying an emotion his species rarely experienced: fear. Throughout his long military career, he had faced dangerous opponents and impossible odds, but always with the understanding that combat followed certain natural laws. The strongest, most skilled, or most cunning would prevail. The humans appeared to operate under completely different principles. Back on WarHFY, Zektar received reports that confirmed his worst calculations. Human industrial mobilization was not just rapid, but systematic. Every aspect of their civilization was being optimized for war production with an efficiency that suggested they had planned for this type of total mobilization long before the Devourer threat appeared. Kilter, access our historical databases, Zektar commanded. I want complete analysis of human military actions since their admission to the Council. As the data compiled, a disturbing pattern emerged. Every human military engagement, no matter how small, had been conducted with overwhelming force and complete tactical coordination. Where other species engaged in limited conflicts with clear political objectives, humans appeared to approach every military situation as if preparing for total war. The most troubling discovery came from analyzing human diplomatic communications during previous minor conflicts. While other species focused on negotiated settlements and face-saving compromises, human diplomatic language consistently included terms like unconditional surrender and complete elimination of hostile capabilities. On Lumina, Quiln made her own disturbing discovery. Analysis of human energy weapon designs revealed technology that far exceeded anything in the Council arsenals. The weapons were not just more powerful, they were designed according to principles that prioritized complete destruction over tactical advantage. Shin Quiln, examine these weapon specifications more carefully, Quiln instructed. I want to understand their strategic doctrine. The analysis revealed that human weapons were designed to ensure nothing remained of their targets. Where Council, species developed weapons for tactical superiority in limited engagements. Humans had created weapons meant to permanently eliminate opposition. Their ship designs included self-destruct mechanisms that could take enemy vessels with them, and their soldiers carried equipment that prioritized mission completion over personal survival. On Kazakh, WarPrime Gol received the most disturbing intelligence report of all. Human ground forces were practicing boarding actions using tactics that assumed the attacking troops would not survive the engagement. They trained to fight in vacuum, in toxic atmospheres, and in conditions that would kill most alien species within minutes. Thokol, summon the Council of War, Gol ordered. We must discuss what we have learned. When the Khazari military leadership assembled, Gol presented his analysis with the gravity of a species facing an existential threat. Warriors, we have always prided ourselves on being the galaxy's greatest fighters. We have faced every known combat challenge with honor and courage. But these humans do not fight as we understand fighting. He activated displays showing human tactical doctrine. They do not seek glory in combat. They do not fight for personal honor or territorial gain. They fight for something they call strategic objectives, and they are willing to sacrifice everything to achieve these objectives. The assembled Khazari warriors, veterans of countless battles, listened in growing unease as their leader continued. Most disturbing of all, they show no fear response to superior numbers or impossible odds. They calculate acceptable losses and proceed with operations that would terrify any rational warrior. General Thokol asked the question that every warrior was thinking. WarPrime, what does this mean for our alliance with humanity? Gol's reptilian features darkened. It means we have allied ourselves with a species that views warfare not as a test of strength or courage, but as a tool for complete elimination of threats. They do not fight wars as we understand them. They fight for extinction. As reports continued to flow in from across human space, the three most powerful council species reached the same terrifying conclusion. Humanity was not just preparing for war against the Devourers. They were demonstrating military capabilities and tactical doctrines that could threaten every species in the galaxy. The humans had spent 50 years as peaceful traders and curious scientists, but their current mobilization revealed a species that had been preparing for total warfare all along. Their industrial capacity, military technology, and strategic thinking operated on levels that made this Council's greatest military powers look primitive by comparison. Most frightening of all was the realization that humanity was approaching the Devourer threat with the same calm efficiency they brought to trade negotiations, suggesting that total warfare was simply another tool in their diplomatic arsenal. The Wolf 359 system had been transformed into something no alien species had ever witnessed. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of her flagship, the massive dreadnought USS Vengeance, watching as the largest military fleet in galactic history assembled around her. 8,000 vessels of various sizes and classifications moved in perfect coordination, their formations creating geometric patterns that stretched across millions of kilometers of space. Captain Jake Morrison's voice crackled over the communication systems as he reported from the USS Liberty. Admiral, final squadron reports are coming in. All vessels are armed and ready for deployment. Total fleet strength stands at 8,237 ships with full combat loadouts. From her position at the tactical station, Commander Amy Brooks monitored the intelligence feeds streaming in from across the galaxy. The aliens were watching, she knew. Every major council species had positioned stealth observation vessels throughout the system, documenting capabilities that would reshape their understanding of military power. Dr. Sarah White, the fleet's chief science officer, approached the Admiral with her final weapons report. Admiral Carter, all experimental systems have been loaded and tested. The planet crackers are functioning within acceptable parameters. Stellar disruptors are ready for deployment, and the quantum torpedo arrays have passed all safety checks. The alien observers listening through intercepted communications felt their equivalent of cold fear as they processed these weapon classifications. Planet crackers suggested devices capable of destroying entire worlds, while stellar disruptors implied weapons that could affect stars themselves. Light years away, High Counselor Zektar reviewed the intelligence reports with growing horror. His logical mind struggled to process weapon systems that operated on scales previously considered impossible. The Vorthik Empire possessed the most advanced technology among Council species, yet their most powerful weapons could barely damage a moon's surface. Kilter, verify these translations, Zektar ordered, his antennae trembling. Surely our monitoring systems have made errors in interpreting human weapon classifications. The younger Vorthik checked and rechecked the data before responding, with obvious reluctance. High Counselor, our translations are accurate. The humans have developed weapons capable of destroying star systems. Our deepest space sensors have detected energy signatures that suggest they can artificially trigger stellar collapse. Back at Wolf 359, Captain Ryan Davis received his final orders as commander of the Advanced Scout Fleet. His mission was to map every Devourer position with surgical precision, using tactics that prioritized intelligence gathering over crew survival. 300 vessels under his command would probe enemy defenses using what humans called reconnaissance in force. Captain Davis, your mission parameters are clear, Admiral Carter explained over secure channels. Map enemy positions, test their response times, and identify their command structure. Acceptable losses for this phase are projected at 60% of your fleet. The alien observers monitoring these communications recoiled at the casual mention of such devastating casualty rates. WarPrime Goal, listening from his command ship positioned at the edge of the system, felt something he had never experienced in centuries of combat. Genuine terror at the thought of facing such an enemy. Commander Hellenstone activated the psychological warfare systems, broadcasting messages toward Devourer space with a cold matter-of-factness that chilled every alien listener. Devourer forces, you have entered territory under human protection. You will withdraw immediately or face complete extermination. This is your only warning. The message was transmitted in 17 different languages and repeated on all frequencies. What terrified the observing aliens was not the threat itself, but the clinical tone in which it was delivered. Commander Stone spoke of extermination as other species discussed weather patterns. On the crystalline world of Lumina, Ambassador Quillen called an emergency session of the hegemony leadership. Her light patterns pulsed with urgent amber warnings. As she addressed the assembled crystals, Council members, we must act immediately to prevent a catastrophic shift in galactic power balance. The humans are demonstrating capabilities that exceed our combined military strength by orders of magnitude. She continued, her patterns shifting to deep red alarm. If they can deploy such force against the Devourers, nothing prevents them from conquering every Council species afterward. Elder Zar Quillen, the oldest and most respected member of the hegemony, pulsed with thoughtful blue light. Ambassador, what do you propose? The humans have been our allies for 50 years. That was before we understood what they truly are. Quillen responded, we believe them to be a peaceful trading species with modest military capabilities. We now realize they have been preparing for total warfare since their admission to the Council. Meanwhile, on Kazakh, WarPrime Gol made a decision that would shock his warrior culture to its core. Standing before the assembled Council of War, the greatest military leader in Khazari history spoke words that had never been uttered by any of his predecessors. Warriors, I hereby order the complete stand-down of all Khazari military forces. No Khazari vessel will engage in any action that could be interpreted as hostile by human forces. The shocked silence that followed was broken by General Thokol. WarPrime, this is unprecedented. The Khazari have never retreated from any conflict. Goals. Yellow eyes blazed with the weight of his decision. General, we are not retreating from conflict. We are acknowledging a superior force that operates beyond our understanding of warfare. For the first time in Khazari history, we face an opponent that we cannot defeat through strength, skill, or courage. Back at Wolf 359, the human fleet began its methodical advance toward Devourer space. Unlike alien military movements that followed predictable patterns established by centuries of limited warfare, the humans employed constantly shifting formations that seemed to anticipate threats that had not yet materialized. Captain Norrison coordinated the fleet's movement with precision that impressed even the critical alien observers. Ships moved in formations that maximized their destructive potential, while maintaining defensive capabilities that could respond to attacks from any direction. Most disturbing to the watching aliens was the patience displayed by the human fleet. They moved like hunters rather than warriors, taking time to ensure perfect positioning before advancing. Dr. Ben Taylor's final diplomatic message to the Council was intercepted by every alien intelligence service. Council members, humanity appreciates your concerns about our military response to the Devourer threat. We want to assure all allied species that our actions are purely defensive in nature and directed solely at eliminating the Devourer threat. To galactic peace. The words were diplomatic and reassuring, but the context made them terrifying. Dr. Taylor was defining the complete extermination of an entire species as a defensive action, suggesting that humanity viewed genocide as a routine. Diplomatic tool. High Counselor Zektar made his own fateful decision. Opening a direct communication channel to Admiral Carter, he transmitted what amounted to a formal surrender. Admiral Carter, the Vorthic Empire wishes to offer full support for your military operations. We place our entire fleet at your disposal and request detailed coordination to ensure we do not interfere with your strategic objectives. The message was carefully worded, but every alien intelligence service understood its true meaning. The most logical and calculating species in the Council had just acknowledged human supremacy and requested permission to avoid annihilation. As the human fleet crossed into contested space, long-range sensors detected the first Devourer scout. Ships, the aliens watching from their hidden observation posts, held their breath as two fundamentally different concepts of warfare prepared to collide. Captain Morrison's calm voice echoed across all human vessels, transmitted on frequencies that alien monitors could intercept. All stations, prepare for total war. Engagement protocols are now active. No quarter given, none expected. The words sent chills through every alien observer because they recognized the tone. Captain Morrison was not preparing for battle in the way other species understood it. He was preparing for systematic extermination, and he spoke of it with the same calm efficiency that humans brought to industrial manufacturing. The march to war had begun, and the aliens realized they were witnessing the emergence of a species that would reshape the galaxy through pure military dominance. The mining colony of Kepler 442b should have been an easy target for the Devourer raiding fleet. 300 vessels descended on the small human outpost, expecting the usual pattern of desperate resistance followed by systematic consumption of all resources. Instead, they encountered Captain John Martinez and the human advance guard waiting in perfect battle formation. High Counselor Jintar watched the engagement through long-range sensors from his observation post, his compound eyes tracking energy, signatures that defied his understanding of physics. The battle lasted exactly 18 minutes and 17 seconds. When the weapons fire ceased, every single Devourer vessel had been completely vaporized, while the humans lost only 3 ships. Kilter, run those sensor readings again, Zektar ordered, his antennae trembling with disbelief. Verify the casualty reports. The younger Vorthic rechecked the data with growing amazement. High Counselor, our readings are accurate. The Devourers lost their entire raiding fleet of 300 vessels. The humans suffered minimal damage to 3 ships, with no total losses. What disturbed Zektar more than the lopsided victory was the intercepted human communications during the battle. Dr. Alex Turner, the fleet's combat analyst, discussed the engagement as if it were a laboratory experiment. His reports focused on Devourer response times, weapons effectiveness, and tactical adaptations rather than celebrating a stunning military victory. Interesting, Dr. Turner's voice came through the alien monitoring systems. Devourer vessels show limited tactical coordination and rely heavily on numerical superiority. Their weapons are powerful but inefficient. Recommendation: Standard. Engagement protocols will be sufficient for fleet-scale operations. Ambassador Quillen felt her crystalline form dim with horror as she realized the humans had used the entire battle as a data collection exercise. They had not fought to defend the colony or achieve tactical advantage. They had fought to gather intelligence about enemy capabilities for larger strategic objectives. Meanwhile, Admiral Lisa Carter implemented what human communications referred to as Protocol Omega. Alien observers watched in stunned silence as human fleets began the systematic sterilization of any star system the Devourers had ever touched. Planets that other species would spend decades trying to reclaim were subjected to orbital bombardment that rendered them completely uninhabitable. Within hours, WarPrime Goal monitored the human bombardment protocols from his command ship, his warrior instincts recoiling from what he witnessed. The humans were not conquering territory or claiming resources. They were ensuring that nothing could ever live in those systems again. Worlds that had supported billions of beings were being reduced to lifeless rocks with mechanical efficiency. Philcall, explain to me how this serves any military purpose. Goal demanded, his yellow eyes reflecting confusion that went beyond tactical disagreement. WarPrime, I believe the humans are implementing what they call scorched earth doctrine. His advisor replied, they deny any strategic value to the enemy by destroying everything the enemy might use. But they are destroying worlds that could support life, Goal protested. No warrior destroys what could be conquered and used. The alien observers began to understand that human military doctrine operated on principles completely foreign to galactic civilization. Where other species fought for territory, resources, or strategic advantage, humans appeared to fight for the complete elimination of threats, regardless of the cost to potential future assets. Colonel Mike Johnson led ground forces in campaigns that horrified alien observers accustomed to honorable combat with clear rules of engagement. His troops advanced through Devourer-held systems with mechanical precision that prioritized speed and total elimination over traditional military objectives, like territory control or prisoner capture. The alien intelligence services documented human ground tactics that violated every principle of civilized warfare. Human soldiers fought in environments that would kill most alien species within minutes, using equipment that seemed designed for conditions no rational being would willingly enter. Most disturbing, they showed no emotional response to casualties among their own forces, treating fallen comrades as acceptable losses in pursuit of mission objectives. High Counselor Zektar attempted to make sense of human resource allocation patterns and made a discovery that shattered his logical worldview. The humans had mobilized their entire civilization for this war. Every human world, every industrial facility, every population center was contributing to the war effort with an organizational efficiency that exceeded anything in known Vorthic historical records. They have transformed their entire species into a military machine, Zektar reported to the Vorthic High Command. Their civilian populations work extended shifts without complaint, accept severe rationing without protest, and maintain production quotas that exceed our wartime emergency capabilities. Ambassador Quillen made a desperate attempt to contact Devourer leadership, hoping to broker peace before human capabilities were fully unleashed against a threat the aliens still viewed as manageable through traditional diplomatic means. Her crystalline form pulsed with urgent rainbow patterns as she transmitted peace offers on all known Devourer frequencies. The Devourers ignored her communications completely, their primitive minds unable to comprehend the scale of destruction approaching them. They had consumed civilizations for millennia, using brute force and overwhelming numbers, never encountering resistance that could match their aggressive expansion. Commander Kate Lewis implemented what human communications called a final solution protocol. Alien observers recorded with growing terror as human forces coordinated simultaneous attacks on 17 different Devourer staging areas using weapons that seemed to ignore every known form of defensive technology. The attacks demonstrated human military capability that operated beyond alien understanding. Energy weapons carved through Devourer defenses as if they did not exist, while human ships maneuvered through enemy formations with coordination that suggested they could predict Devourer responses before the enemy made decisions. WarPrime goal. Observed human boarding, actions to intercepted video feeds, and witnessed something that challenged his fundamental understanding of combat. Human soldiers fought in conditions that would terrify Khazari warriors, showing no fear response to superior numbers or impossible odds. Most disturbing, they willingly used their own ships as weapons when conventional tactics proved insufficient. They ram enemy vessels when their ammunition runs low, Goal reported to his war council. They fight in vacuum without environmental suits, and they coordinate attacks where entire units sacrifice themselves to achieve tactical objectives. Dr. Ben Taylor's attempts to reassure alien allies only increased their terror. His clinical descriptions of human war aims revealed a species that approached military conflict as a problem, to be solved through systematic application of overwhelming force until complete victory was achieved. We want to assure our Council allies that human military operations are proceeding according to plan, Dr. Taylor transmitted. Devourer resistance is being eliminated systematically, and we project complete mission success within acceptable time parameters. The phrase complete mission success sent chills through every alien intelligence service, because they understood that human mission parameters included the total extinction of the Devourer species. Reports from alien observation posts described widespread panic among Council governments as they realized the implications of human military doctrine. The species they had welcomed as peaceful traders possessed weapons technology and tactical capabilities that could threaten every civilization in the galaxy. Ambassador Quillen transmitted a desperate warning to all Council members as human forces penetrated deeper into Devourer space with unstoppable momentum. We have unleashed something that cannot be contained. The humans do not fight wars as we understand them. They fight for extinction, and they possess the capability to achieve it. The message reached every major alien civilization simultaneously, spreading terror through species that had maintained galactic peace through careful diplomacy and mutual respect. They now faced the reality that one member of their alliance possessed the power to destroy all the others combined. A Devourer nexus had been the central command structure for a species that had terrorized the galaxy for over a millennium. 17 different system clusters spread across vast regions of space housed the military might that had consumed entire civilizations without mercy. Admiral Lisa Carter coordinated the final assault with the same calm efficiency she had brought to every previous engagement. Captain Jake Morrison led the ultimate attack on the Devourer command structure, his fleet employing tactics that the observing aliens could barely comprehend. Human vessels used captured Devourer ships as decoys, while their crews operated from shielded command. Ships positioned light years away through quantum communication systems that exceeded alien technological understanding. The campaign lasted 43 hours and resulted in something unprecedented in galactic history. Dr. Sarah White transmitted her final confirmation across all human frequencies, her scientific precision making the achievement sound routine. Admiral Carter, mission objectives have been achieved. Complete elimination of Devourer civilization confirmed across all 17 target clusters. High Counselor Ziktar received the reports through his monitoring systems and felt his logical mind struggle to process the implications. Every Devourer vessel, every Devourer world, every trace of their civilization had been systematically eliminated. The species that had plagued the galaxy for 1,000 years no longer existed anywhere in the universe. Kilter, verify these. Readings one final time. Zektar ordered, though his compound eyes had already confirmed what his instruments reported. Ensure there are no errors in our data collection. The younger WarHFY checked every sensor reading, every communication. Intercept every piece of intelligence they had gathered. High Counselor, our analysis is complete and accurate. The devourer species has been rendered extinct. No survivors detected across their entire territorial range. The silence that followed was profound. For the first time in recorded galactic history, a major spacefaring species had been completely eliminated through military action. The aliens had witnessed genocide conducted with industrial efficiency and scientific precision. On the crystalline world of Lumina, Ambassador Quillen faced a transformed reality that her people's advanced psychology could not fully process. Careful balance of power that had maintained galactic peace for centuries had been shattered by the demonstration of human capabilities that exceeded their worst projections. She addressed the emergency session of the hegemony leadership with light patterns that flickered between fear and resignation. Council members, we must accept that our previous understanding of galactic power structures was fundamentally flawed. Humanity possesses the capability to eliminate any or all council species at will. Elder Zar Quillen pulsed with dim blue acknowledgement. Ambassador, what course of action do you recommend for our species' survival? Complete accommodation with human authority, Quillen replied, her patterns settling into subdued acceptance. Resistance would be futile and potentially species-ending. We must adapt to a galaxy where human decisions determine the fate of all other civilizations. On Kazakh, WarPrime Gol made a decision that would forever change Khazari culture. Standing before the assembled warriors who had defined their species' identity through military prowess, he spoke words that acknowledged the end of their warrior traditions. Fellow Khazari, I formally surrender our military independence and request alliance with humanity under their terms, Gol announced. Our proud warrior heritage must yield to the reality that our concept of strength is obsolete in the face of human capabilities. The shocked silence from his warriors reflected the magnitude of this cultural transformation. General Thokal was the first to find his voice. WarPrime, this decision will fundamentally alter everything our species represents. General, our choice is simple, Gol replied. We can maintain our pride and face extinction, or we can adapt to serve under beings who have redefined the meaning of military power. I choose survival for our people. Dr. Ben Taylor addressed the reformed Galactic Council from the rebuilt Nexus Prime station, attempting to reassure the alien species that humanity sought peaceful coexistence despite their demonstrated ability to eliminate any threat. His diplomatic words carried different weight now that every alien delegate understood the consequences of opposing human interests. Council members, humanity has always valued the diversity and contributions of all galactic civilizations, Dr. Taylor explained. Our recent military action against the devourer threat should be viewed as protective rather than aggressive. We seek to maintain the peace and prosperity that benefits all council species. The alien delegates listened with careful attention, understanding that Dr. Taylor's words were not requests or suggestions, but statements of policy from the new galactic authority. The humans were explaining how they intended to govern rather than negotiating terms of cooperation. Admiral Carter established the new galactic security framework with humanity as the sole military authority, presenting the structure as a stabilizing force that would prevent future threats like the devourers from endangering civilized species. Her presentation was logical and reassuring, but every alien understood it as the formal establishment of human hegemony over the galaxy. General Pete Hughes began demobilization procedures, but alien intelligence services noted that even human peacetime military capabilities exceeded what any council species could deploy during wartime emergencies. The humans were scaling back from total war footing to normal operations that still represented overwhelming superiority over any possible opposition. High Counselor Zektar submitted his final report to the WarHFY Command, recommending immediate and permanent accommodation with humanity as the only logical course for species survival. His analysis concluded that resistance would be futile and potentially result in complete extinction. The humans have demonstrated that they possess both the capability and the willingness to eliminate entire species when they perceive threats to their interests. Zektar reported, "Our only rational choice is complete cooperation with their authority." 6 months after the elimination of the Devourer threat, the galaxy had settled into a new equilibrium under human oversight. Trade flowed smoothly along human-protected routes. Scientific cooperation flourished under human coordination, and no military conflicts disturbed galactic peace. The Galactic Council continued to meet, but now it served to implement human policy, rather than debate alternatives. The alien species had discovered benefits to human protection that they had never experienced under their previous system of balanced power sharing. Captain Morrison and Dr. Taylor stood together on the observation deck of the rebuilt Nexus Prime station, watching the peaceful flow of interstellar commerce that their actions had secured. Their conversation was monitored by alien intelligence services, confirming what every species now understood about their new reality. "Ben, do you think the other species will eventually accept our authority without resentment?" Morrison asked. "Jake, I believe they already understand that our authority provides benefits they could never achieve through their own efforts," Taylor replied. "Fear may have brought them to acceptance, but results will keep them loyal." Their exchange revealed the fundamental truth that every alien civilization had learned. Humanity viewed the galaxy as their responsibility to protect and their right to govern, and they possessed the power to enforce both concepts without challenge. The galaxy was safer, more prosperous, and more peaceful than it had been in centuries. The alien species had learned to appreciate the benefits of human protection, while never forgetting the price of human displeasure. They had witnessed the emergence of a species that could reshape the universe through pure force of will, and they had chosen to survive by serving rather than resisting. Trade flourished, science advanced, and peace reigned across countless worlds. Under human authority, the aliens had discovered that accepting human dominance brought benefits beyond their previous imagination, even as they never forgot how easily that protection could become extinction if they ever chose to oppose their new guardians.